The whole landscape of game development is changing. 2024 has barely even started, and yet almost 6,500 layoffs have already been announced in the industry. AAA studios are struggling to make money and are focusing less on fun and more on monetization. And unfortunately, it seems to work. Mobile games are inundated with ads and gem purchases. And AI is making hard-earned knowledge easier to gain than ever before, which is only going to exponentially increase the number of games that are released to Steam each year. How can indie developers sift through all of this chaos and actually release games that stand out? To answer this, we're going to need to take a journey. One that starts almost 20 years ago. Valve's game, Counter-Strike, was a huge hit. Everyone loved it, but Valve had a problem. Every time Valve wanted to patch the game, players had to download the files from Valve's servers, and the servers would often get overloaded. So Valve eventually made the decision to invest in a much larger infrastructure. But instead of just making a patch delivery service, they also built it so that it could act as a digital marketplace. And with the release of Half-Life 2 in 2004, players were more than happy to install Steam in order to get access to that game. Between 2005 and 2010, Steam's library and backlog of games continued to grow. And in 2009, a little engine called Unity Indie was discontinued in favor of a free engine that was just called Unity. Their asset store was released in 2010, and the engine continued to massively improve over the next 5 years. And in 2015, Unity released version 5, which gave developers access to better lighting, audio, and visual effects. By this point, you could make a game with high fidelity graphics by yourself or with a small team. And in March of 2015, Epic Games released Unreal Engine 4 for free and promised that all future updates would also be free. Making an engine free was obviously working, because in 2018, former Unity CEO said basically half of all current games were built using Unity. And I don't know for sure, but I assume that he's lumping in mobile games into the mix there to come up with that figure. And when we look, this is right around the time that Steam really started to take off. Top quality engines were completely free to use, with small fees or revenue share being only applied to the highest selling games. Some pretty epic content creators were starting to emerge at this time. And with that success, a flood of other developers jumped onto the YouTube platform to start sharing their knowledge and experience. And now there's probably thousands of different websites, YouTube channels, and other free resources for you to learn how to develop games on. It doesn't matter what engine you use, it doesn't matter what experience level you're at, there is a free resource out there for you. And then in November 2022, ChatGPT was released to the public. And there are competitors cropping up everywhere to help you with basically any task that you can imagine, from coding to art generation. And I think the game engine companies can see where the trend is leading, because some of them are doubling down on AI integration. Though at the moment, I only know of Unity working on that. So games have been getting easier and easier for smaller and smaller teams to create. But as hardware has accelerated over the years, AAA studios are having to work harder and harder to keep up with the graphical demands, despite the tools getting better and better. And what a lot of them have learned, or are starting to learn, is that they can make money with behavioral psychology.
The tricks on how to monetize a game well, but I'll leave the morality of it out of the talk. We can discuss it if we have time later.
And if they don't do that, then they will crank out the same game over and over and over with just a fresh coat of paint on it, because they know these games will sell. Why take a risk making a fresh idea when you can release something you know is going to sell well? So with AAA studios getting more and more desperate to cash grab wherever possible, and games getting easier and easier to make, and because of that, a much higher amount of competition when we do release our games, what can we do? How do we fight through all of the competition and get our games played, while also avoiding some pretty disgusting practices growing more and more popular with the AAA industry? By the way, really quick, if you're enjoying the video, then thank you if you drop a like and a comment down below. So number one, I would start by saying it might be a good idea to embrace AI and all of the benefits that it provides. AI, with all of the good and the bad stuff that comes with it, is not going anywhere. It doesn't really matter whether you like it or not. There are a lot of legal and moral questions that are going to get answered over time. But right now, there are tools out there that can help you code faster, generate concept art to help you with your mood board, ensure that you have scalable architecture, and so much more. If you ignore these tools because you don't like them, or because they don't make you feel like a real game developer, then you're probably making your game slower than someone who does use these things. Games will always need a human touch. That also is not going to change anytime soon. Number two, and I cannot stress this enough, you are going to have to fall in love with marketing. And I know marketing has a cringe factor at best and a disgust or hate factor at its very worst. Some people just don't like marketing. Some people won't like you for marketing. This has been made really evident to me on YouTube. Channels that actually utilize their audience and try to make money to provide for their family are disliked by some people. But it doesn't really matter, because here's the thing. As an indie developer, you are one of the last people on the market that actually cares about making a good product. Because you're creating your game, hopefully, from your heart. How could you not? Your game is your baby. And since you were taking the time to craft this piece of art, it deserves attention. If no one knows that it exists, then no one is going to play it. And if no one buys your game, then you're not going to have enough money to be able to focus on making your next game that the market really needs or wants. Sales and marketing can leave a foul taste in your mouth, I know, but if you are an indie developer, you need to fall in love with it. Lack of marketing is the #1 reason for failure for all indie developers. And number 3, the AAA industry is leaving a very large gap in its wake. There is a market for gamers who are not casual gamers and don't want to keep paying for season passes on battle royales. You can fill that gap. I don't really feel like the future of the AAA industry is very bright at the moment. They are burning bridges left and right by producing lazy games to please their shareholders, and gamers will eventually get tired of it and stop buying into it. And behavioral psychology to the point of severe manipulation is not going to be tolerated forever. So in the meantime, you, the indie developer, you have an opportunity to keep the fun alive in video games. We are the ones who need to take risks and produce weird or strange games because people do want that. Hone your skills to the best of your ability, not just code, not just art, but marketing and design principles as well. Produce the best product you can and market the hell out of it. It might just pay off. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want more videos like this every single week. Bye.